This movie is going to be about why flowchart. So, students often ask me, why should I go to all the trouble to make a diagram when I could write a narrative or I could just communicate verbally how a process is working? There are several reasons why you should flowchart. The first is to develop an understanding of how a process is done. Just the act of trying to break a process down step by step will allow you to develop a deeper understanding of how a process is done and who is engaged in that process. The second reason would be to study a process for improvement. So as we understand processes better, we are typically able to see how we might improve those processes. We often do things over and over the same way, and the act of diagramming or really thinking about the process as we're diagramming allows us to identify areas where we may have wasted effort or have issues with controls. Another reason is to help communicate how a process is done. So, for example, in an audit, one of the things that's really important is for auditors to understand how all of the processes in the businesses are done and whether they have appropriate controls around the processes. Diagrams are so much better to be able to communicate that than a narrative. Narratives tend to get very wordy and it's very difficult to follow directions such as decision points and movement between departments or people. Another reason is to be able to document a process. It could be used for a variety of purposes. Communication, as we just talked about, to make sure that we have continuity in processes. If we hire a new individual, it would allow them to see the process because it's documented. So having documentation of a process is very important. Another reason would be maybe perhaps when you're planning a project. So I'm going to go through a project and we're going to look at a video in just a second that is illustrating a project and process where Sheldon is going to try to create an opportunity to get a friend. So this flowchart helped him to go through the planning stage so that he would be able to complete his project. So these were just some reasons why you would want to flowchart. Now what I'd like us to do is watch a little bit of a clip from one of my favorite shows, The Big Bang Theory, and we're going to watch as Sheldon flowcharts a process, and we're going to see how helpful it is to him in his quest for gaining a new friend.
You're just in time. I believe I've isolated the algorithm for making friends.
Sheldon, there is no algorithm for making friends.
Well, hear him out. If he's really onto something, we could open a booth at Comic-Con, make a fortune.
See, my initial approach to Kripke had the same deficiencies as those that plagued Stu the cockatoo when he was new at the zoo.
Stu the cockatoo?
Yes, he's new at the zoo.
It's a terrific book. I've distilled its essence into a simple flowchart that will guide me through the process.
Have you thought about putting him in a crate while you're out of the apartment?
Hello, Kripke. Yeah, Sheldon Cooper here. It occurred to me that you hadn't returned any of my calls because I hadn't offered any concrete suggestions for pursuing our friendship. Yeah, perhaps the two of us might share a meal together. Yeah, I see. Well, then perhaps you'd have time for a hot beverage. Popular choices include tea, coffee, cocoa. I see. No, wait, don't hang up yet. But what about a recreational activity? I bet we share some common interests. Tell me an interest of yours. Really? On actual horses? Tell me another interest of yours. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I have no desire to get in the water till I absolutely have to. Tell me another interest of yours.
Uh-oh, he's stuck in an infinite loop.
I can fix it.
It's interesting, but isn't ventriloquism by definition a solo activity? Yeah. Tell me another interest of yours. Is there any chance you like monkeys? Yeah, what is wrong with you? Everybody likes monkeys. Hang on, Kripke. A loop counter and an escape to the least objectionable activity. Howard, that's brilliant. I'm surprised you saw that.
Gee, why can't Sheldon make friends?
All right, Kripke, that last interest strikes me as the least objectionable, and I would like to propose that we do that together. Tomorrow. Yes, I'll pay. All right, goodbye. All right. Time to learn rock climbing.
So, as you can see, through the process of Sheldon learning to make a friend, first of all, he got to understand how to make a friend much better. That was one of the things that came from him flowcharting the process. It also allowed him to communicate that process to the other friends in the room. In addition, it allowed him to go through the process, and during that time, he was able to get recommendations for his flowchart and his diagramming to help him make sure that the process went very smoothly. I hope that you could see from this that flowcharting is a very useful tool for any of us to use when trying to handle any kind of a process. Thanks for listening to the video.